All right, we'll switch over to Abuja studio now. Last week, Friday, we did have the spokesperson of the POS operators in Lagos here, and he reeled out some new rates for POS operations. And we know there's been a lot of reaction following that. The Central Bank of Nigeria had said it will intervene to resolve issues around that. The federal government has threatened to sanction them for just hiking charges at this time, you know. So they're here now to tell us, maybe follow up on that conversation and see what they're going to do. Perhaps they will reduce the prices for the sake of the consumers. We have Mr. Fashasi Atonda, the Managing Director, Ecosystem Network is an agent network management company. He joins us from Abuja. Mr. Atonda, thank you so much for your time. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Yeah, but we're not happy with you, Mr. Atonda. I mean, you guys just woke up and hiked your rates, knowing that we now depend on you. You know, we're not happy with the POS operators.
Okay, thank you very much. And first, you must know that we are also part of this country, and we are not immune from the totality of, inflationary, activities that's going on in the country. So we are also, I want to believe that we are interested in also building this country. And that's the reason why we also look at it, and we have been humane enough to be as competitive as we could in the market today. We are all consumers. POS agents, they are also consumers. So when we are following a particular segment of the market, not to adjust to the markets, to the inflationary rate, it's just like you are putting two boxers in a ring, and you tie one hand at the back. That's the meaning. So that takes us to the fundamentals that we need to really unbundle what we call agency banking. And when you break it down, because people are mixing it, and that is why we are blaming agents. We have two components of this agency, POS agent that you are looking at. You have the technology segment of it, and you have the entrepreneur, the enterprises aspect of it. So when you are talking of the technology part of it, that is the one that CBN is actually regulating. CBN license service providers to render this service. And at times, they back them up with a grant, with finances. Most of these companies are also liquid to the level that they can absorb inflation for even 10 years without running into crisis. But you see this other segment of the component of our business, which is an individual, a jobless Nigeria that look for a location and paid for the rent of that location, paid land rent, paid, retail, and also equipped with staff, also buying fuel at the petrol station. So that component, I think, is just normal, that his own business is dictated by inflation, not by CBN. So that is the point of it. And what association have been able to do is to come up with the fact that, over 1.4 million jobs have been created in Nigeria through agency banking in the last few years. No sector of this economy has been able to achieve that since independence. So, and we are now looking at it that we don't want these job losses. We don't want this brain drain. Already, a lot of them are shutting down. The last cash policy actually sent about 40% of POS agents, out of jobs because they had to lock down. A lot of them are in debt as I speak to you. So it is about being competitive because we are also buying petrol. Today, for cash backup, for you to go to the bank, most agents will go to the bank like 3 or 4 times. Because of the limits placed by the Central Bank of Nigeria, that people cannot withdraw more than 100,000 naira in a day. Okay,
Mr. Atonda, just so we can get a lot of questions in. I hope you also remember that when I say you, I mean, your association. I hope you also remember that the people who are your customers feel this pinch. A lot of them do not have an increase to their earnings, you understand? And also, if they don't have an increase in their purchasing power, you may lose them, and at the end of the day, lose the business totally.
Okay. The reality is that nobody is actually having a sort of increase in their purchasing power. I don't know how do I explain this. How will an agent cover this cost to serve? The cost of, going, to the bank to withdraw cash. He has to, pay double. Today, before now, we are paying about 200 naira to move to the closest bank for those that are within the metropolis. For those in the rural area, they cannot even cope now because let us look at the revenue which is being displayed, the revenue to cost to serve. Before this inflationary policy, we can all see, the income of a typical agent, and we can see the expenses of a typical agent on a daily basis. So the net profit is around 2004, and that is what association has also worked to say that, how do you also maintain this so that you don't, you inconvenience the populace? And when you look at that analysis, an average agent is still going home with a maximum of 2,000 naira for those in the rural areas. They can't cope. They have to shut down because before you can get to the nearest bank in our rural area, you have to travel about 300 or 400 kilometers. For example, there is a location in Mashegu local government of Niger State. The closest bank is in Mina or Kotangora. That is about 200 kilometers on the road. Today, you have to go 3,000 naira transportation go, 3,000 transportation come. So this they need to do. What CBN is supposed to do is actually to look at all these cost ingredients and see how do you, cover this cost or support the agent in this aspect, like what we see in other countries. Let us take, for instance, Fino agents in India. They don't go shut their doors and go and pick up cash. There is a system in place where their provider will bring cash for them and also take their leftover cash to the bank. But we have a different, the agents in Nigeria, they are all alone. They are like orphan. No support from, in fact, an agent today, we have to go and queue at the ATM.
So, Mr. Tonda, why don't you have these conversations with the CBN? You understand, and if it's the government, why don't you have these conversations? For instance, in areas as you have mentioned, like the rural areas, if the POS agents will come together and appoint one person maybe every day or every week, you go, instead of everybody paying transportation, you go and get for and the banks are aware of it, so there's no limit on that person, or they give everybody's money to the person. There are other ways of reducing your cost, because even your customers still pay transportation to their offices, to their businesses, and nobody has increased their purchasing power or their earnings. There's ATM as an alternative. I hope you remember that.
Engaging, thank God that I was at your studio before the cash crunch, and I think we foresaw the tragedy that could happen that time as reaching out to the CBN to advise them appropriately. But unfortunately, they still went ahead with that policy, and it landed all of us in this tragedy that we had today. So the same, we have been having conversation with CBN, and they are aware. But there are lots of strategies, lopsidedness in our system that are actually needed to be corrected. We copy and paste strategies from countries in the world without actually trying to domesticate it with our terrain. That is the fundamental, issue. They reach out to us, and we made them realize that there is a need for us to look at this. Nobody is interested in hiking service charge, but let us sit down and look at it. An average agent today, you won't believe, is getting a loan of about 120%. annual. 120% annual. So why? And we have Central Bank of Nigeria that can give us a single-digit, loan to run our business. So how will there is a disconnect? Quite all right. And these are the cost ingredients that I expect CBN to. And the most surprising is CBN usually listens to us anytime they want to roll out a project. They use us for mobilization, quite all right. They want to do a financial inclusion week, they need crowd, they reach out to us, we mobilize. But when it has to do with, getting things done, planning and implementing, policy that will help the payment industry to grow, we may not actually be called to that round table for such discussion. So an avenue like the media is a very good avenue for us to also call the attention to the fact that agents are not just increasing their service charge, they are increasing to cover the cost. The only option to have is either you live or die trying. And we don't want job losses against in Nigeria.
Yeah, obviously nobody wants job losses, but already your customers, I think we have a video of some of your customer there expressing frustration, because I mean, if I want to collect 10,000 naira and then I have to pay about 800 naira, I mean, then you have actually dismantled the 10,000 naira, the plans that I had for it, I mean, please, you guys should consider us also. And you are part of us anyways.
Hello?
Okay. Oh, you didn't hear me, Mr. Tonda?
Please, can you come again? Okay,
we're showing you a video of a customer that went, wanted to use the POS and got the shocker of this new fees. And I was just imagining that, I mean, assuming that I went to withdraw 10,000 naira and then I'm told to pay, I think it's about 800 naira now from your new charges. I mean, my plans have been spoiled. So I'm asking for a bit of consideration while you try to fix, your costs factors with the CBN or the banks.
Okay, like I said, there is this assumption that the banks or the provider owns the agents. In Nigeria context, the question of who owns the agents are actually a straightforward one. Providers don't own agents, they only onboard agents. For you to own an agent, you must have an investment in that structure of that agent. And you must be able to give that agent the necessary support. For example, biometrics capturing. Let's look at best agent network in part of the world, like Branco do Brasil, an agent firm in Brazil. There is this support program for them that they are able to also do other services apart from cash in, cash out. They are able to do biometrics registration. They are able to do, BVN. They are able to do all this. In Nigeria, it's more of a cash in, cash out. And how many margin can you make from cash in, cash out? In fact, when Nigerians, when the NIMC, they are trying to increase the enrollment rate of NIN, they engage some of our agents, over 5,000 agents in Nigeria, which help them to deliver more than 80 million enrollment within 2 years. You will be shocked that they are owing us the salary of 2 years. NIMC, Nigeria. So all attempts to add additional services to what agents are doing so that they can spread these costs and cover these costs, they are actually not there. They are actually not there. Then if to actually move forward to reduce all these confrontation, I think CBN needs to adopt the strategies of our new president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, of not using power to solve issues, or of engaging. You can see the example of how they are able to speak with the NLC and Trade Union Congress. And with these inputs, there are no issues in the system. But what we see over the last week was that for the CBN to be instructing, the service provider to dissociate, to issue disclaimers. you know, that they are not increasing the prices of transactions. And we have said it point blank, we are not increasing POS service charge. The providers can withdraw all these terminals and put it in their branches. If that is going to service my father in Aguara, across the river, Niger. So let us, you know, what is important, the way to go is actually come to the round table. Agents, you are all alone. How do we support you? How do we support you? In the policy of CBN today, there is no agent segmentation on cash withdrawal limit. They see us as customer, just normal customer. You are not withdrawing more than 100,000 or 200,000 in a day. And you want an agent to go and service minimum of 20 people in a rural environment. So that agent will pay out minimum of like 20,000 naira per customer. 20,000 times 20 customer is 400,000 naira. And you are limiting such an agent to be withdrawing at ATM. Even if I'm an agent of a provider A, I will not get to the bank and they will not giving me a special treatment I will still go and join the queue at the ATM machine.
All right.
So there is a disconnect. There is a disconnect really.
All right.
When you look at the insurance of agents, today a lot of agents are gone down when they are trying to get money here and there to go to their location. Security threat. There is no insurance for them.
All right.
What providers are insuring is their terminal technology. They are insuring their technology. So if we are going to run an impactful agency services in Nigeria, then we need to come and discuss around the support for the agent, who owns the agent. All right, Mr. That is very fundamental.
Thank you, Mr. Fashasia Atonda. So obviously the consumers are paying for the lack of communication between the POS agents and the CBN. Or all of that cracks, unfortunately. But, I mean, you said something here, NIMSI, please, if you're owing POS agent, please pay them so that they can reduce the charges for us. Thank you so much, Managing Director, Ecosystem.
That's the way to go. Thank you.
Managing Director, Ecosystem Network, thank you for your time. And we'll stay on this because we need relief as much as you also need assistance from the government.
Very well, very well. This is our country. We want to build it together.
All right. Thank you for your time.